Welcome back to Cards and Comics, guys. Today I have another complete set from the 90s. This is an insert baseball set. And I love looking at these complete sets because I get to see all the major and minor stars. And in most cases, there's a Griffey and a Thomas. So that's an added bonus. This set's from 1995. It's Stadium Club's Power Zone. Power Zone was a 1 in 24 insert in Series 3. Series 1 and 2 had the ringleaders. Remember those cards? Very cool set. Much bigger set. This set only has 12 cards in it. Now, the thing about Stadium Club was they had two versions of this card. They had one that was in a pack, 1 in 24. They also had a version that came with the complete set, the members only complete set. Now, you might think that the members only cards, because they were part of a complete set, would be easier to find. However, that's not true because of a couple factors. One, the complete sets were pretty expensive. They only printed 4,000 of them, but very few were redeemed according to a lot of sources like Baseball Cardpedia. And you could order only certain series, so you didn't have to order all 3 series like in the past. You had to buy all the cards. You couldn't just break it up. In 1995, you could buy Series 1, 2, or 3. Now, these cards were in Series 3, which in my opinion would be the last series that people would have bought because in reality, it was kind of like an extended or high number series. And it came out later, and I don't feel like people were really looking for that set at the time. And, it's just like it happened much later in the year, and I think other sets are the cards that come out. And if you look at the pop report, the Griffey, for example, has 41 regular Power Zone cards graded and only 20 of the members only. So it's half. So half as many members only cards have been graded as compared to the regular Power Zone Griffey. Frank Thomas has like only 2 graded total members only cards. So I think it's fair to say, and it's pretty safe to say now after all these years, for grading to be around as long as it has, that the members only cards are rarer to some extent than the base version. So that makes this whole set kind of fun because it's the kind of the parallel of a parallel set. So we'll get right into the cards. So first up, and again, I got them in the same holders that were sent to me in. It looks like the set was put together in 95 because these holders are pretty old. Some are pretty yellow. First card here is Jeff Bagwell. The cool thing about this set was, and you can see the members only gold stamp right there. That's what that is. So the cool thing about this set was it's alphabetical. So we're going to go in alphabetical order here. We'll start with Jeff Bagwell, and you can see I love that cool. And again, these are very similar to the ringleaders cards from Series 1 and Series 2. And here's the back. And nothing really that interesting about the back except for this kind of wave pattern, but there's no foil, no interesting other than just that little rainbow effect. But there is that's Jeff Bagwell, card number 1. And so we'll go right in order. Again, it's alphabetical. So card number 2, Albert Belle. And there's the stamp. Now, is the stamp in the same place every time? Well, if you compare the 2 cards here, they are not in the same place. You can see this is like towards the center. This is to the upper left. Now you would think like I've got him in the top loader incorrectly. I got him upside down or something. But no, this is how the set actually was designed. You see, they're the same way on the back. So when you flip them over the front, you can see they made the set to be kind of, I consider to be like more binder friendly, maybe, that the cards were designed to kind of look kind of like that in the binder. I don't know. I don't know why they would design them to kind of be flipped every other card, but it's kind of like that. So, and then you can see the stamp is not in the same spot every time either. So that's a very interesting fact. So there's Bell and Bagwell. Next up is the first really big dog. Here we go. We got Barry Bonds. And then if you compare the stamp location of that card to the Jeff Bagwell, so because they are the same orientation, you can see even there they're not in the same spot. The Bonds is closer to the center of that little edge thing. So it's just interesting to me. I know a lot of people don't care about that kind of stuff, but I just think it's interesting that the cards aren't stamped in the same place. Because you would think a machine would be doing it in the same spot every time. It leads me to believe a little bit that the stamping was either done by a human being, like with like a stamp, the person put the card in a stamping machine, or and it was a machine that stamped it, but every card was placed in, and so they didn't put it in exactly the same spot every time. You got some different results, or it was just a human being with a stamp, doing it manually, and then it just there wasn't a way to always get in the same spot, because if it was just a little off, with how you applied it, you could get what I'm seeing here. It's just interesting. Again, the cards are really beautiful, and I think they're really hard to grade as well. Little pops all around. Next up is Joe Carter. So again, this is why I love buying complete sets, because Joe Carter is not in every set, but this guy was a World Series MVP. I think he won an MVP of the American League maybe one year. Guy was a really good player. He's a Hall of Famer. But yeah, and I think this set definitely does a nice color match with the Blue Jays as a background color. Next up is Cecil Fielder. And again, you can see this is 1995, so he was still pretty relevant. And let's see, this year he had 12 home runs and 45 RBIs. So I don't know if he was coming off of being hurt. I don't know. But anyway, was this the strike year? Could have been the strike year, 94. Always throws me off. There you go, Cecil Fielder. And again, it's kind of fun to see, he was in a lot of sets for 1 year, or 1 to 2 years, and then nowhere to be found after that. Andres Galarraga. So there we go. And we're getting into the G, so we know who that's, what that's going to mean pretty soon. There you go, Galarraga. Here we go, guys. The big one, Ken Griffey Jr. So that's the junior. And again, I really love buying these 90 sets when I can get the Griffey and the Thomas and Jeter and all the big cards. And then, all the other cards are kind of a bonus. When I look at value too, when I look at what I will pay for a complete set for the 90s, I kind of think of it like this. If I can get the set for between 80 and 120% of what the Griffey goes for, then it's worth it. If someone's trying to sell me, let's say the Griffey goes for $50, and they want $100 for the set. To me, it's a little high, because a lot of the other cards are going to sell for $2 to $5 in a lot of these insert sets. A Griffey in this set, will definitely sell probably 20 to 40 bucks. It's a really nice looking card. It's really, shiny and cool looking. But again, a lot of cards are going to sell $2 to $4. So to me, it's if I can get this set for, again, $60, $80, that would be the kind of price point you would want to look at for a set like this. Because you got the Griffey, you got the Thomas, you got the Bonds. To me, that's that's probably $60 of value there. So, I'm giving examples of grades. I don't know what the Griffey actually goes for raw. I've only seen some sales graded. So, but I felt like the set was pretty cheap. Picked it up and really love just that pattern background. And it's not a set you see very often in the wild. I will say that I don't run into these cards very often when I look for 90s cards. It might just be the fact they're not super expensive that you don't see them, but I think they're cool enough, because I see ringleader cards quite often, but I don't see the power zones. And I think that sort of goes to that whole extended series 3 theory I have, is that they just weren't, the product just wasn't as opened or purchased. Because 3 series of one product in the 90s is a lot. Stadium Club did that a few years, and I think it was a bad decision to release 3 series of one set. So I'm glad they kind of went away. We now have it again with extended and base tops, but again, back in the 90s, it was a lot of product, and there was a lot more companies doing products, so it just felt a little more excessive. Paul Molitor, again, very pretty card. All right, Fred McGriff, the crime dog. There you go. And again, I love the fact that you got the name here in a shiny foil too. That makes the card have that much more cool factor. Rafael Palmeiro, and again, he's in a ton of sets. He was a stud. I mean, you know, Palmeiro was an easy first ballot Hall of Famer, and then he got caught up and probably will never get in the Hall of Fame, or if he does, it'll be in a special little wing with a lot of the other steroid guys with a little asterisk next to his name. All right, here's the another big card, kind of the last one in the set, but it's a Frank Thomas. And I have been picking up a lot of cool Frank Thomas cards lately. I don't own this card. I do have a Power Zone Griffey. I don't have the members only. So I think that is what's cool about this set, is they're all members only, so it's a little bit rare. I don't have any Frank Thomas, so I got the members only Frank, and I want to get the base one as well. But there you go, Frank Thomas, really, really cool. And the last card in the set is a guy you would expect, I mean, for a W, Matt Williams. This guy was a stud for a lot of years, and I kind of haven't been paying as much attention to the stamp, but this is the first one I've seen all the way pretty much dead center in that little spot. So that's kind of interesting that they put the stamp right in that center location. There you go. Look at that. I mean, I just love the color change in this product, or this card. It's just a really cool set. And again, when you pin them all out together, they do make a fun, kind of like you get a, you know, some effect. And so they look good in a binder. I'd say that too. It's a great binder set. You know, they look pretty. Again, here's the Griffey again. And the Frank Thomas. So you get the Griffey and the Thomas. And again, they're kind of like this. That's kind of cool how they do them back to back like that. So there you go, guys. That is my set of 1995 Stadium Club Power Zone members only variation. So love the product. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.